The side effects or the possible worst case scenarios of the doctors, they said long-term memory loss, possible short-term memory loss.
Oh, yeah.
So when my parents and my girlfriend heard that, they interpreted it that he may not know who we are.
Oh, man.
When he comes out.
Hey, I'm Greg Grunberg, and welcome to Talk About It, the podcast where we focus on topics that everybody should be talking about, and hopefully they will be. But not only talking, screaming about.
Epilepsy shouldn't keep you from doing anything that you want to do.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it.
This season, we are going to continue to talk about living with epilepsy like my son and millions of Americans do. We're also going to look at other related health conditions and causes. Our goal is to knock down, drag out, eliminate stigma, and raise awareness. Oh, and hopefully have a laugh or two along the way. Each of our episodes will feature amazing advocates and champions. We will learn together how to make a real difference in our own lives and in the lives of our communities.
Talking about it is important. It's all about connecting.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. Thank you for talking about it.
Thank you for talking about it.
New season, new sponsor. Thank you, Neurelis, and everyone at Neurelis for sponsoring Talk About It. Talk About It is also sponsored by Seizures Are Signs. SeizuresAreSigns.com is dedicated to educating those living with or caring for someone with uncontrolled seizures about the importance of early diagnosis, recognition, and treatment. Seizures Are Signs is made available by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. All right, let's jump right into this episode of Talk About It. This is a great episode to Talk About It. I'm so excited to share this friend of mine with you. He's an author and has epilepsy, or had. He's doing great and has been doing great for a long time. And he not only talks about it, he won't shut up about it in the best way possible. And he's written a book called Be There When I Return, out now. You'll see a little quote from me on the cover of the book. You'll find out later in the episode what he's referring to, but it refers to brain surgery, and his story is just really inspiring and chilling at times, and he's just a great guy. So we have Michael T. King on this episode of Talk About It. So excited that we have our special guest, Michael King. Michael, thank you for joining this. We talk about people talking about it all the time, people not hiding there and putting their head in the sand. And, everybody's different. I don't knock anybody that doesn't want to engage their community or others and encourage others to talk. But you not only talk about it so openly and so beautifully, but you've written a book. Thank you, first of all, for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for taking the time, and thank you for the quote. I mean, that meant a lot to me.
So take us through your epilepsy journey. Let's go back. Let's go way back. When were you first diagnosed? What has your journey been like?
Yeah, so grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco, moved to LA. 26 years old, I moved to LA to chase the dream, writing scripts, trying to break into the industry. I was a bartender right out of college. I was one of the original bartenders at the Hard Rock Cafe in San Francisco. Then I transferred to the one in LA. In the craziness of the 80s.
The one in Hollywood?
It was in Beverly Center.
Oh, in the Beverly Center.
Yeah.
Oh, so for those that don't know, before the Beverly Center, going way back to when I was a kid, there was a thing called Kittyland there. You don't even know about this.
No.
Kittyland on that, right in the middle of the city, That's where this mall is. And it's an enclosed mall, which was good for a while. And then now it's it feels like a prison. But it's this prime real estate, and it used to be where Kittyland. So you used to take your little kids, and they had little pony rides. And the funny thing is that the spot where everybody would take photos of their kids on the horses, there was a Manilow Silverman cemetery sign. So in the back of every kid that goes, "Hey, look at me on a thing," you see this sign. Anyway, it's a memory that I have for the Beverly Center. But that's, what a happening place. So you're
it was. Well, some people, when I said I was writing a book, knew that I worked there. They said, "Are you going to tell some stories?" And I'm like, "No, that's another book."
That's another book. Yeah, but I bet you have stories, man.
My God.
So you were right in the epicenter. You're trying. You're in Hollywood. You're making your name. You're doing your thing, and you happen to be working in one of the hottest spots in town.
Yeah, it was great. And so that was in '86, and then '92. I'm with my roommate. I was living Sixth and Detroit, right there, Miracle Mile area.
Yeah.
An apartment there with a roommate. And two buddies came over to watch the NCAA men's basketball championship, Michigan and Duke. And we're just hanging out, watching the game. It goes to a commercial. And I remember seeing the commercial. And then my buddy, one of them goes, what was that all about? And for a while, I didn't know where I was and who they were.
Wow.
And it took a while to come out of it. And I'm like, what? And they go, why'd you do that? I'm like, do what? And my roommate looks at me and he goes, are you messing with us? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they just said, whatever.
But they didn't say to you at that moment, dude, you were shaking, you were ignoring us.
No. They go, why did you do that? And they thought I was just messing around.
Wow, interesting.
And so a woman who I had met, of course, at the Hard Rock, started dating her 6 months earlier. She was living down in Newport. I went to go see her. We're on the pier, just walking and watching some of the surfers. And why'd you do that? I'm like, what? She was, whatever. And I didn't think anything of it. So you fast forward, that happened a couple other times. And now if it would have happened, someone would have pulled out a phone and videotaped it and go, dude, what did you just do?
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah.
Back then, there's no videos like that. So they did a little intervention on me, my roommate and girlfriend. We're at their apartment and they said, we need to talk to you. You need to go see a doctor. I'm like, what? And so then my girlfriend asked my roommate, Tim, he goes, Tim, have you ever seen Michael do this? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he
so
goes,
for people that are just listening to the podcast and not watching, you're clapping your hands and were you what were you making it?
Woohoo!
Oh,
I was just making weird noises.
Oh, wow.
Weird, like I was cheering for something.
Wow.
Weird noises.
Which kind of fit during the Michigan Duke game.
Yeah, exactly. But it was during a commercial. You're like, I really love root beer.
Allstate is great.
Here's the thing that's so interesting about what you're bringing, and we have not talked about this on the podcast, and you know this now, Michael, obviously you're such a power in the world. You wrote a book and everything in our community, but people don't understand that seizures take so many different forms.
Oh, God.
And you knew nothing, right? You had no history of seizures or anything in your family?
No. Nothing.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing. And so I was in total denial, and my buddy's like, yeah, you did that. I'm like, shut up. Oh, so yeah, just out of nowhere, I started making noise. I'm like, shut up. I didn't do that.
Right.
And then the girlfriend goes, yes, you need to go see a doctor. Didn't believe them. I was just in denial.
And how long did those little episodes last?
5, 10 seconds.
Oh.
20 seconds.
Okay.
They were quick, but I was out of it for a bit.
Yeah.
So the first time is for a while, time had passed. So a commercial had just started. And I remember looking at the game and the game was back on. So there was a time lapse. And then it finally came back and I realized, but I didn't think anything of it.
Right.
And then I got a new job bartending gig at a new place down in Newport. I was going to try to get closer to the girlfriend. And during training, I got fired during training. And they said, oh, we overhired. We're sorry. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, you told me like I was the #1 bartender. I'd been working at the Hard Rock forever and all this. And so as I was leaving, one of the waitresses who was also training, I had worked with at the Hard Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, hey, are you okay? I said, I just got fired. She goes, no. Are you okay? I go, what are you talking about? She goes, well, in the middle of the meeting, you stood up and started clapping your hands and making all these weird noises. It hit me. I was like,
wow.
They must have thought I was like on drugs.
Right, of course.
Weirdo.
Yeah.
And then after that, it hit me that what my roommate and girlfriend had been telling me, I need to go see a doctor.
So, but I want to get just in your head a little bit on the emotion of that, because I'm sorry, you're a good-looking dude. It's like everything you're doing, you're in control of everything in your life, and then all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, I'm doing something that I didn't even know I'm doing.
No.
How was it frightening?
Oh God, I think I cried the whole way to her place and lost it. When I got to her place, I was thinking, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And she comforted me, just said, it'll be okay. And so, I went to my doctor, then to a neurologist, and I couldn't explain what was happening. So she had to. And
Right,
she
of course.
explained everything.
Yeah.
And we did a CAT scan, MRI, did all that. And then he said, I believe you have epilepsy. And the only thing I knew about epilepsy is what I'd seen on TV, falling on the ground,
Yeah.
shaking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, didn't you hear? I didn't do that. I thought I had like Tourette's or something.
Right.
I'm like, he goes, no, well, there's many different types of epilepsy, and then shared all this stuff with me.
So an episode though like that, it's so infrequent, and they did the scan, I'm sure, on your head, right? Did they catch a seizure?
No. Mm-mm.
Wow.
But they were still happening every day. So that's why he said, I think you have this.
Oh, got it. Okay.
There's no, from the MRIs, CATs, nothing was like, okay, here it is.
Right.
I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And so they put me on a medication, and then I started down that journey of trying different amounts of it, trying different types, and adding and subtracting.
And did you have side effects from it?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah.
I went from, remember, I lived in Miracle Mile, so on weekends, I used to grab my bike, throw it in my car, go down to Santa Monica, ride the Strand, down to Redondo, hang out, come back. I was super active. But it just kind of started sucking the energy out of me over the years. And then the other thing, mentally, I started going down that why me?
Yeah.
What did I do? Why me? And I went down some really dark holes, and it was odd going out, say at the Beverly Center, just walking there like Melrose or something, just out and about, pre-epilepsy. I'd see girls, me and my buddy, I see girls looking at me. I had girls come up to me, go, don't you work at the Hard Rock? I'm like, yeah. So it was cool to be recognized. Of
course, yeah.
When I started having the seizures, I remember I was at Beverly Center and I'm walking and these people are looking at me and I'm thinking, did I just do it? Did I have a seizure? And they're staring at me and I'm like, so sometimes I didn't even want to leave my apartment. I'm like,
right.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Now the medication that you were put on right away, did that, you said you had a combination of this and that, as far as like the dosing, which is everybody until they find what works. Did it work right away?
No.
Oh.
I kept having them. And through the book, I take you through all of them and different events that happened that, were pretty bad.
Coming up on Talk About It.
Now, remember, everybody's told me what I've done, but I've never seen it, and part of me didn't believe it. So I watched the videotape and I was like, oh.
That must have been crazy.
It was bizarre to watch.
So, this is interesting. I wanted to pop out and just talk about you're on medication to control your seizures and you just know your body more than anyone else. We talk about this all the time, right? Be your best advocate. And you know that this medicine isn't working. Maybe it's not working at all. Maybe it's not working as well as you want it to work. And you just feel like something may not be right. Well, here's the thing. Your doctor needs to know that. Your team needs to know that. So discuss it with a nurse practitioner. Discuss it with your doctor. Talk about it. That's the best way, because the doctor might say, you know what? Maybe there are contributing factors that other medicines that might not work well with that, or maybe there's some sort of a lifestyle change that you can make. It may not be the medication, but it just might be. So if you have that feeling, if you're in that situation, talk about it.
When did you decide to write the book? Why did you write the book? I'm so happy you wrote the book, but
2020, when the pandemic hit. So my wife, she calls me the miracle. So we didn't talk about the surgery or anything, but if you want to.
Yeah, no, I'd love to talk about it. So when did you get to that point where you need...
Just real quick, before we get into the book, Be There When I Return, I want to ask about the 80s. What was the environment like? Did people understand epilepsy? Because you yourself didn't, only from movies and stuff. But I can imagine, I just think of the 80s medically as like, bloodletting and leeches, as opposed to like,
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't quite that in the 80s, but I'll tell you, Michael had to use the Thomas guide to get from one Remember the Thomas
Oh,
guide?
man, I love that.
There was no Google
Oh,
Maps and all that stuff,
God.
so there wasn't. I mean, you speak to it too, Michael, but there wasn't. It wasn't at your fingertips.
Right.
And so those in the community, those that already were in there, they're talking to their epileptologist, or not even epileptologist. I don't even know if they had that term back then, but neurologists, they were in the know. And if you didn't have a group of people that you talked to, or if it wasn't in your family, you didn't know. Like we didn't know anything about it when Jake started having seizures. So, where did you get your knowledge from? It's a great question.
Oh, from just pamphlets. They gave me some pamphlets and not a lot. I kind of was like, okay, take the medication and trying to find like triggers. Someone said, well, don't drink coffee, and I didn't drink coffee for a while. Then I still had them. Make sure you get sleep. I was always getting sleep. But so mine were, we would say, triggered by staring at something getting my attention. So
Interesting.
We'll just say right now, if I was having seizures, the brown speaker box in the back, over there. So if we were just talking and that got my attention, I would start staring at it. And then you'd go, Michael, what do you think the Dodgers are going to do this year? No response. And I'm just staring at it. And then all of a sudden I would do my thing.
Oh, interesting.
I'd clap and make the noises, 10, 15 seconds. It would stop. And then I would go, So Greg, are you a baseball fan?
Yeah.
I have no clue of what even happened.
Wow.
So I describe a lot of those in the book. Of just time passing, doing certain things, time passing.
You got it under control through surgery.
Correct.
Okay. And when was that decision made? Who was the first person to bring that up and say, you know what, I think we have a target here. There's an area of the brain that we can go after, or, how did that come about?
So in 97. So started 91, 97, I was done. I was darkest of dark. And I start the book off on the rooftop of my apartment in a very dark place. And we'll leave it at that.
Wow.
I didn't want to live this life.
Yeah.
I started thinking about jobs, and I kept getting fired, or, I had a bartending gig and I had an owner that was cool, but I just started thinking, like, what's my future look like?
What's so crazy is it's from one extreme to the next. I mean, I'm not saying that, you were on top of the world. You were still pursuing your career and all that stuff, but socially, like, you're just doing it, man. You're doing what you want to do. It's like it's not like you're, buried in a job you hate and this and that. It's like all of a sudden you're just life shifted.
I know. And then the moment was a few days later, my sister called out of the blue. And we started talking, checking how I'm doing. And she goes, remember my friend I mentioned to you growing up had epilepsy? And I said, oh, yeah. She goes, she just had surgery at Stanford.
Wow.
I'm like, surgery? I knew nothing about it. That had never been brought up.
Right, of course.
Really?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, no. And hers was in her temporal region, and they removed the section of the activity.
Right.
And I was like, oh. So get off the phone. I reach out to my doctor at Cedars and said, hey, is this an option? Because the medication's not working, and I'm going through some weird stuff here.
Yeah.
And so we did. He said, are you serious about that? Did another MRI. CAT scan, and there was showing activity. It was different than the first one. So we went to UCLA and met the whole team there, and then got a letter saying you are a possible candidate. So I had to go through all the testing.
Yeah.
The weirdest one is when they did the EEG, where they kept me at UCLA for about a week, sleep deprived.
Yeah.
Take you off your meds, and I had 3 of the complex partials where I clap, and then I had 1 grand mal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Had you ever had a grand mal before?
No. So the thing that was interesting is after all that testing was done, then they said the next step is the invasive EEG.
Yeah.
Where they actually go onto your brain and put a grid.
Yeah.
Where they have determined. So when that was done, they sent me the videotape. Now, remember, everybody's told me what I've done, but I've never seen it, and part of me didn't believe it. So I watched the videotape and I was like, oh, no wonder.
That must have been
Oh,
crazy.
It was bizarre to watch. Just
like you were watching someone else.
Yeah. One of them, I'm watching a Atlanta Braves baseball game. And I'm just sitting there watching the game, and then out of nowhere, I start doing it. And I'm like, whoa. And then another one is my birthday's on the 4th of July, and my girlfriend was there, and we're talking about, remember the day timer? So I had my day timer out and looking at things. What are we going to do? And just talking. And then you see me staring at the day timer.
Oh.
And then I just drop it, and I just start doing that. And then the nurse comes in, and in the book, I described it because I have a video, so I can describe all these things and how it, she'll hold up a pen and she'll go, Michael, what is this? I have no clue. And I'm trying to get timing back. So I keep asking her, what, and then she says, what word did I give you? Because they gave me a word before that I had to repeat. I go, what, I'd repeat her. I go, oh, what word did you give me? She's trying to get.
Yeah, you're stalling for time to get that memory.
Stalling for time, yeah.
Yeah.
And so went through all that, and then did the invasive, which was kind of scary and disheartening because they first said, okay, the grid is, parietal and a little bit of temporal. So they, go in, operate, put the grid on my brain, did testing, and then came back and said, unfortunately, it's bigger than what we thought.
Wow.
I'm like, what? And they go, well, you have to go in and put in a bigger grid.
Ugh.
And so, when they left, my parents are there, the girlfriend's there. And I'm like, what? Do they even know what they're doing?
Yeah.
And they don't even know the size of the graph. And then they finally come back after that other graph, and they said, okay, it's in the parietal, it's in the temporal region.
Mm-hmm.
And they did all the testing to see what it affected, fingers, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so they said, we want to do a surgery. It's called MST. So it's multiple subpial transections. Think about the function of the brain is vertical. It's all vertical.
Okay.
And we have seizures, it's horizontal activity.
Okay.
So what they do is they put the little slits in the horizontal fibers. So the big hope is to lessen the seizures. Because I would have like 2, 3, and sometimes 4 or 5 of these a day.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that was tough is if someone was with me, like my girlfriend, she would say, oh, you just did that. But if I was by myself, I wouldn't know. I could have 5, 6 in a day, and I would never even know I had one.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So they said they wanted to do this surgery, and my parents and my girlfriend, of course, and wanted to know, okay, worst case scenario, and me, honestly, I'm like, let's just do it, man. I got to try something.
Yeah, you're at that point. So Jake had brain surgery as well. Jake had the grid on his, they did they do the whole open up your skull. They put the grid on.
Yeah.
It's the scariest thing in the world. You have 200 wires coming out of your brain like spaghetti. Yep. It's just the worst. And you're sitting there, and then he had a partial calcisotomy too, where they almost split the two hemispheres because he had drop attacks, and drop attacks are audible and physical. And if they do this, so I mean, he had all of the stuff done, and it worked. I mean, he was 90% better, but the brain had already taught itself how to seize when certain triggers had happened.
Right.
So, now with medication, this was a long time ago when Jake was 12. He's 28 now, but so the surgery. So you have the surgery, and then are you immediately better?
No. Well, so I just take a step back. Is like, so the side effects or the possible worst case scenarios of the doctors, bleeding on the brain, this and that.
Yeah.
And then they go into memory loss.
Oh, yeah.
They're like short-term memory loss. And then they say they said long-term memory loss, possible short-term memory loss. So when my parents and my girlfriend heard that, they interpreted it that he may not know who we are.
Oh, man.
When he comes out. So I went, boom, had the surgery in ICU, slowly starting to come out of it. And I look up and I kind of see 3 figures, and one of them is the girlfriend, and I kind of reach up and kiss her hand, and she lost it.
Yeah,
she said. And then I look at my mom and dad and just kind of wave, and I kind kind of go back to sleep. And that's where the title of the book comes from, is Be There When I Return.
Wow.
So it has to do with that moment. And then every time she was with me, when I would have a seizure like that.
Yeah, return from the seizure.
The wrong, a lot of times in public, and she was always there to be there when I returned from those seizures.
I thought when you said she lost it, that you actually kissed the hand of the nurse. So your girlfriend was like, what are you doing? He comes out of surgery and he's already hitting on a nurse. What's happening? Okay.
Coming up on Talk About It.
I was told later that was the first time they had performed that surgery at UCLA.
No way.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather be told later than it's like a pilot saying, like, this is my last
That's
flight.
a great point. Listen, we've never done this before, but we could try it on you.
Try it.
So I wanted to break away and just talk about the emotional component and how scary it can be, not just for the person that's going into a brain surgery, but for or any kind of surgery or procedure, but also for the family members, for the caregivers, for the ones that love that person and want the best for them. So when Jake, our son, has had 2 brain surgeries, and when the first one we elected, the second was emergency, he hit his head, but when he was going into the first surgery, he was like 12, and my wife and I, Elizabeth and I, were an absolute wreck, and we were warned that the brain doesn't like to be messed with. When he came out, he was very slow in responding. His speech was slow. All of that is so incredibly scary. Like, you think, is he ever going to be normal again? Is he ever going to be able to do the things that when he went into surgery, I said to the doctors, I was like, hey, make sure you don't take out his sense of humor. Like, I was joking, but I wasn't. So just know that these things can happen, and don't be afraid to ask a million questions. The nurses, pre-surgery, the staff, the doctors, the surgeon especially, they all want you to be well informed. And the only way to do that is to talk about it.
The most important thing about the surgery is, so I went back home beginning of 98. So surgery was December 97.
Yeah.
So 98, had seizures the next day when I was home, but everything was completely different. My lips started flapping. Everything was completely different. I no longer did what I did before. And so I'm thinking, oh, great. So now I'm doing something different.
Right.
They started to slow down and stop.
Thank God.
So I was told later, that was the first time they had performed that surgery at UCLA.
No way. You were told that later?
Yeah. Well, to me, yeah, it was something they had tried, not on a person, I believe, but I got told that later, that because the whole thing was the hope.
Right. Yeah, you said
was
that.
to lessen them. So I did a Zoom in December with my surgeon from UCLA and my nurse. I hadn't seen them since 2001.
Who did your surgery at UCLA?
Dr. Freed, Isaac Freed.
Isaac Freed. Okay, yeah.
And he was blown away that I never had any more. He goes, our hope was that they would lessen, not be gone.
Not disappear.
And that's why my wife she calls me the miracle.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't meant to eliminate.
Oh, that's so great.
I think I'd rather be told later than it's like a pilot saying, like, this is my last
That's
flight.
a great point.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I didn't.
Listen, we've never done this before, but we could try it on you.
Try it. Yeah. No, if it would have been one of those that I would have brought it up, but my mind wasn't there. I was like, whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
the book comes out on April 29th. So the pre-orders have been good. The thing that has just been crazy is the outreach from the epilepsy community.
Yeah.
Where I wrote this just to share my story, not knowing that that I would be this person that people are reaching out to talk.
Yeah.
People say, will you talk to my son, to my daughter? I had a guy yesterday reach out just out of the blue, said, hey, can you talk to my kids? I can't wait to read your book. And I told my wife, I said, I think my life's going to go in a different direction. I had no idea putting out this book was going to have all these people come to me to ask for help.
Look at the name of the podcast, dude. It's called Talk About It. And it's been incredibly rewarding. And I'm so happy that you don't have seizures anymore, but it's something that I get told all the time in the community is people are like, yeah, once your son's seizures are under control, we're never going to see you again. And you're proof of the fact that you got these under control years ago, and you are still talking about this, and now you're just starting a whole other, part of your life where you're helping others. And it's just, I commend you. I'm so happy that people are going to have the chance to actually hold this and read this.
Yeah, the person responsible is my wife, because I was more than willing to take this to my grave. And when I announced on LinkedIn that I was writing this book and I had some early covers, my phone blew up from people who I'd known for 20 years in business that were like, what? I didn't know this.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what am I supposed to introduce myself? Hi, I'm Michael. Oh yeah, by the way, I used to have epilepsy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she kept telling me, she goes, you need to tell your story. There's people that need to hear this.
Yeah, it's true. It goes right to what we've talked about, where epilepsy, you have epilepsy. Epilepsy doesn't have you. Like, you're owning it. You're owning it, and you're doing something positive, and that's what we're trying to do. And so I'm happy that we're able to support you in this book and let people know about it.
And real quick, Michael, can you tell the story about what happened with Phoenix, the boy in Phoenix?
Yes. So this was probably 2.5, 3 weeks ago. A woman who I'm connected with on LinkedIn was aware of my book and posted a picture of her son, Hunter, with his getting ready for his EEG. So his head is wrapped and he's holding a laptop with the pre-order page on my website with my head wrapped. And she posted it and sent it out on LinkedIn. And of course she tagged me, so I got it. And so when I pulled it up, I looked at it for about a second and literally I had to leave. It was just too emotional. Yeah. And so then the thing that was timely is I clicked on her profile and she lives in Gilbert, Arizona. And I sent her a message. I said, thank you for posting that. That was beautiful. I said, but I think there's some powers controlling this. And she's like, what? I go, my wife and I had booked a trip 6-7 months ago. I'm going to be in Scottsdale next week. I said, we got to meet. I said, I need to meet that guy.
Oh, that's great.
So we met at Top Golf, and then we got to the Bay a little bit early, the Bay we were going to be at Top Golf, and she texted, she goes, we're on our way. We just walked in. We'll be right there. And so I told my wife, I said, just videotape. I have no idea what's going to happen. So she had the videotape on, and you can see them coming down the hallway. And then he just starts running towards me, and I pick him up. I told her, I said, there's some higher powers or something, because if you would have posted that 2 weeks later, I wouldn't have been coming to Arizona, and I would have said, I hope I see him sometime.
Look, I'm with you with the higher power thing, but it's all about you, dude. It's all about you being willing to tell your story. Thank you. Can you give your wife a big thank you from all of us? Because it's important, man. It really is important. And I don't know you well enough to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm proud of you. And I'm so happy that you've done this. And again, this is not going to be the majority, the biggest thing in your life, but it's going to affect people that you don't know. How many kids are out there that will be looking at your book when they get it, that are not holding it up, that are not on social media, not on LinkedIn. The ripple effect is huge. And you're an inspiration. So
where can people pre-order the book real quickly, Michael?
We just go to my website. It's michaeltking.com.
The T stands for the?
Thomas.
Oh,
Thomas.
Okay. Michael the King.
It's unfortunate, but my name is pretty common. So Michael King was already taken. So I had to try that, and I was able to get it. But
michaeltking.com. michaeltking.com.
Originally when the website went up, it was, you buy it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Simon, wherever. Yeah. But I started getting all these people reaching out saying, how do I get an autographed copy so you can put an inspirational message for my son, for my daughter?
Oh, that's great.
So I had to put something up there for people to order an autographed copy so that I can send them an inspirational. One mom said, my son has been dealing with seizures and he just got accepted to Harvard. And I was like, wow. I said, thank you. I said, I'm going to put that in there. She goes, that's going to make his day. Like,
was she just kind of rubbing it in, saying he's so much better than you? Is that what it is?
Yeah. She goes, where did you go to school again?
Exactly. Like, so Michael, you've earned a hat now, dude, for being on the podcast.
I'm doing the.
Do you want black and white? Black and white or color? What do you want? I'm going to send it to you.
Black and white, man.
It's cool, right? All right, great.
Yeah, no. And I'm doing events, in San Francisco. I'm going to be doing an event April 8th at the Giants game with the Epilepsy Foundation.
Oh, great.
I'm doing the walk on the 19th. And I'm doing books. I'll be in LA, and I want to talk to you about that. I'm doing a book signing at Barnes & Noble's at the Grove.
Oh,
Nice.
very cool. When is that?
May 31st. You can help spread the word.
Of course, I will.
Going back to my old neighborhood, which will be fun.
That's great. Well, thank you for being on the podcast, and thanks for being a friend. And
Thank you, man.
and we always support each other. This is what it's all about.
That's all we can do, man.
Yep. Thank you, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Talk About It with Greg Grunberg. Sponsored by Neurelis and by SeizuresAreSigns.com. Thank you to our special guests for joining us, and thank you to J.J. Abrams for the theme music that you're hearing right now. Talk About It is produced by Ken Lowenberg, Greg Grunberg, and Nick Marzak. Editing, directing, and incidental music by Nick Marzak. Go to talkaboutitonvideo.com to watch these episodes, and as always, don't forget to talk about it. This podcast is a production of the Talk About It Company and Motel Podcasts.